So I'm going to start here in line 213. So you've got the vocative mentor addressing him in direct speech. And then you have this verb here, parai pepithesin. Now this is a subjunctive verb. The meaning is something like to coax or persuade or something like that. And it's subjunctive because the idea is let something happen. May something happen. That's what's called a jussive subjunctive. And it's following me, which is a negative word like oo. So let not Odysseus coax you, or do not let Odysseus coax you. And then the object of the verb is se here. You can see it's S apostrophe because it's eliding into the next word. So do not let Odysseus coax you with words, epesi, that's a dative form, with words, and epos is a word like logos in later Greek. So do not let Odysseus coax you with words to fight, makesthai, infinitive of makomai, to fight, with the suitors, mnesteresi, dative plural. So don't let Odysseus persuade you to do that. And also dare to amunemenai, to defend, which takes dative, hoi auto, right? Him, himself. So in other words, Odysseus is trying to convince you to help him, and you shouldn't give in, right? Now, this is one of the suitors talking to Mentor, but it's actually not Mentor, of course. It's the goddess Athena in disguise. Okay, and then he says, for, gar, introducing an explanation. For, I think, oyo, I think, and now we go into indirect statement, accusative and infinitive. So I think that he meteron non, that means our plan or purpose, that our plan, literally a nous is a mind, but here the idea is a plan. So for I think that our purpose will be accomplished, tele esthai, future infinitive, will be accomplished. The verb is teleo, to fulfill or accomplish something. And then we have this word hode, which means as follows, or in this way. And now he's going to tell us what he thinks is going to happen. And then he says, hopote. Hopote means when, not in a question, but in a normal sentence. And you can see after hopote, you get this word ken. Now, ken is the Homeric version of an in later Greek, an, and it just makes it indefinite. So it's not like when something happened in the past, it's like whenever this happens in the future. Right? So hopote ken, when or at whatever point, we have killed kteomen, and that's subjunctive from kteno, to kill. And it's, again, subjunctive because it's this sense of whenever something has happened. Whenever we kill these men, tutus, and then we hear who these men are, patera ede kai huion, father and son, i.e. Odysseus and Telemachus. Okay, so whenever that happens, su, desu, you as well, you also, will then, epeta, will then be killed, pefesei, you will be killed, en toisin, literally in them, which means among them. Or you could say along with them. He says, you'll be killed with them. And then we hear why. Hoya, such things, menoinas, such things are you intending, from the verb menoinao, to intend. Such things are you intending or desiring to do, erdein, infinitive, in the halls, en megarois. So he's basically saying, because you want to, kill us, the suitors, we will therefore make sure that you die once we win. Okay. And then he says, you will pay so literally, you will pay of it, autu. Now in English we would say you will pay for it, so kraati, with your head. In other words, your punishment for taking Odysseus' side against us is that you will lose your head. You will be killed. Okay, and then he says, autar epen. Now epen is just like epe in later Greek. It means when or since. So, but when we have taken aphelometha, that's from aphaireo. So when we have taken bias, violence or force, from you, humeon, and this is you plural, and actually this is just a genitive, so we could say when we have taken your violence, literally with bronze, calco, because calcos is bronze, i.e. with the sword. So the point of this line is, once we have stopped you doing any violence by killing you, then hoposak temata, as many possessions. So hoposa means as many, and ktema is a possession. As many possessions as there are for you, esti toi. In other words, as many possessions as you have, right? And toi is the Homeric version of soy in later Greek. So as many possessions as you have, both ta endothi, the ones inside, and ta furefi, and the ones outside. Right? Furefi is connected to the word thura, meaning a door, so literally outdoors. So all those possessions, the ones inside and the ones outside, we will mix, metamixomen, future tense, we will mix with those toisin of Odysseus, Odysseos, which is genitive case. So in other words, all the people we've defeated, we're just going to, put all their stuff in one place and, I guess, divide it amongst ourselves. And then he says, nor will we allow easomen, future of ARO, to allow, nor will we allow your huyas, your sons, and toi just means indeed or something. You don't really need to translate it necessarily. So nor will we allow your sons, huyas, to live, zdoen, in your halls, en megaroisin, nor your daughters, ude thugatras, nor your kednen alokon, your faithful wife. So kednen, the adjective kednos, means faithful, and an alokos is a wife. So nor your faithful wife, and we won't allow your faithful wife to polluein, that means to sort of go about, roam around, through kata, the astu Ithakes, the city of Ithaca. So Ithakes is the genitive case. Okay, so then if we go down to the next page here, we get this very common formula, ho spat, so he spoke. De Athenaya, and Athena was malon kolosatar. Okay, malon means more, and kolosatar means she was angry. So Athena was more angry, kerothi, that means in her heart, right? Because a care in Homeric Greek or a cardia in later Greek means a heart. So she was more angry at heart, and there she nekesen Odyssea, she rebuked or upbraided or criticized Odysseus with kolotoisin epeessin. Okay, kolotoisin is an adjective in the dative case here meaning angry, and an epos, as I said before, is a word. Right, so she's going to tell Odysseus off. She's going to reprimand him. And what she says is this. Right, she says, no longer, Odysseus, uketi Odysseu. And then we have to imagine here the verb to be. No longer Odysseus is menos, right? Is no longer is courage. Empedon soi, literally firm for you. No longer is courage firm for you. In other words, no longer is your courage firm, Odysseus. Nor tis alker, literally a certain valor, nor your valor. Hoye hot, as when, right? So hoye means such as, something like that, and hote means when, like epe. So such as when. So she's saying, you know, your courage is nothing like what it was when such and such. So nor your valor such as when. And then we've got a dative for Helen, right? So for Helen, and then Helen is described with two adjectives, leukolene, which means someone with white arms, and she's also called eupatereia, which means with a noble father. So such as when for white-armed, noble-fathered Helen. Eina etes, for 9 years, right? This is a combination of enea, meaning 9, and etos, meaning a year. So for 9 years, you were fighting, emarnao, you were fighting with the Trojans, troesi, troesin, dative plural, with the Trojans, nolemes I, literally unceasingly, always. I think in English, I just put unceasingly. And then literally the Greek says that he was fighting around Helen, but I think in English we would say he was fighting for Helen, right? So back when you were fighting for Helen, and when you killed Epiphnes, or you were killing, many men, polus andras, in dread conflict. So en means in, and it takes dative. Ainos is an adjective meaning terrible, like Danos in later Greek. And then this noun, a deiotes, means a conflict or a struggle, right? And when there, by your counsel, se boule, by your advice, dative case, the Euru Aguia, well, and then the noun is polis. So the city, the polis, with wide streets, Euru Aguia, of Priam, so Priamu is genitive case, the wide-streeted city of Priam was taken. So Helo is aorist passive, was captured, something like that. So Athena's saying, you know, Odysseus, back in the good old days, you were really brave and everything, valorous, you know, whereas now you're a bit of a wimp. And then finally she says, post noon, how now, right? How is it so different now, right? How now, when, hot at when, You reach, hikanes, when you reach te kai, both your home, domon, and your possessions, ktemata, you are lamenting, olofureai, to be brave, einai alkimos, in other words, having to be brave, against the suitors, anta plus genitive, antam ne stero. In other words, how is it that for 9 years you were able to fight so bravely at Troy, and then in the 10th year come up with this brilliant scheme to defeat Troy, and yet now you're back home, you're on your home territory, and you can't even handle a bunch of suitors, right? That's the point.